welcome. We are on week 7. It is amazing how fast it really goes when you hit a certain point. We're going to start talking a little bit more about things that have to do with graduation, with the pitch, and all of those things. This morning, Robert is going to be opening up the presentation, and he's going to talk to you about the pitch, give you an example, and we can talk about it. If you guys have any questions, write them on the chat, and we will be monitoring that. Robert, whenever you're ready.
Okay, well, welcome everybody. I'm sorry I missed last week, but I'm glad to be able to be here to welcome you today. I want to share my screen, so let me go ahead and head over there. And we do have some exciting things to share. I'm really excited about the pitch competition, which we haven't talked much about other than to let you know it's coming, but we're going to give you some details today. So welcome to week 7, making online sales, ads, and A/B testing. I'm really excited about today's presentation. Just a reminder that we will be recording the main session, but not the breakouts. You should have received a notification when you came in. And we are funded by the U.S. Economic Development Administration to do this work. So we thank them for their support. And just a quick reminder of how we do our work. We are invited by communities to work directly with them to help activate their entrepreneurial ecosystems to get new businesses started and existing businesses growing. We're currently in the cities that you see here in 4 counties across the state, and we're supported also by these agencies and associations or organizations. We are in week 7, and as you can see here, ads, landing pages, A/B testing, those are the types of topics we're going to be working on today. And we're well over halfway through, which is really exciting. Today, we're going to be hearing from Rachel McMahon, and I will let Ani introduce her when we get to that point. But let me tell you a little bit about the pitch competition, and there will be awards. But this is a 60 to 90 second pitch. And you might be thinking, well, how can we possibly communicate anything in that amount of time? And I just realized I did not share correctly. So give me 1 second. Share sound. All right, so this should work now. So 60 to 90 seconds, we do need to have those in by our second to last session so we can review them and prep our graduation, in which many of them will be shared. And what you're pitching is not your business, but rather the marketing strategy. The idea of this pitch is to help give you an opportunity to share what you have gained, what you've learned as a result of the work over the last 7-8 weeks of this course. So I'll give you an example of what that could look like. There will be awards. We haven't yet determined what the categories are, but we're going to have a collection of categories, and we'll let you know probably next week what those categories will be. Those are the additional details. So let me go ahead and share this. So let me know, obviously, quickly if you cannot hear this, but this is a very quick and simple marketing strategy pitch. Hello, everyone. I'm Robert Killen, founder of The Needle, where we help businesses gain income that they're not seeing as a result of fuzzy thinking. We do this by helping businesses embrace clarity as an organizational value and operational mandate. My ideal client is the owner of a 4-year-old business with employees that's bringing in $1 to $2 million in revenue. And my plan to find them is through a 2-part LinkedIn campaign. Part 1 is to establish authority on the platform, and we'll do that by utilizing their native blog platform, as well as by engaging actively in conversations around management throughout the platform. So that's my goal there. Goal 2, or part 2, is to reach out to them utilizing Link's own excellent pro search tools, where I can identify the ideal clients and then reach out to them directly through LinkedIn. So that's my plan for reaching my clients for The Needle. Thanks for listening. Okay. very quick and simple, right? And whoops, let me go through to the next. Hello, everyone. I'm Robert Killen, founder. There we are. So I wanted to very quickly show you how I got to that, because yours could look very, very different. I obviously, I'm going to show you the marketing framework. I'm utilizing the marketing framework, which you received in week 1, to build this. So I've been filling out, these different elements of the framework based on what I've learned over the past several weeks. And I decided that for this pitch, what I wanted to focus on is letting you know the problem that I solve and how we solve it, who our ideal client is, that's the customer persona, and then the activities for reaching them. That's what I decided to do. Now, if you have a simpler business, you've got a Cajun food truck, you probably don't need to talk about the problem we're solving. You can just say, I have a Cajun food truck and I'm trying to reach X, and this is how I'm going to do it. So you can spend less time up here and more time down here, but it's entirely up to you. You can pick and choose the pieces from this framework that you want to share, and you clearly can't share everything because you've only got 90 seconds. So you want to pick the pieces of the marketing framework, or the pieces of your marketing strategy that are most important and most interesting. So that's how I went through the process of building that. That pitch was only 65 seconds long. So heck, I could have added almost half again as much content. So you can get across something meaningful, if not thorough. You can get across something meaningful in a very short amount of time. I just realized, are you actually seeing my framework document? Okay, all right. Yes. Okay, so let me go ahead and continue to share. I lost my controls. Okay, so we are now at the welcome, and I think I'm going to hand it over to Ani. Ani, do you want to open up your own slides, or can I just keep driving for you?
You can keep driving because it's only going to be a couple of them. So perfect. I think that we will be fine. And so today's agenda is going to be a little bit different. We're actually going to have, I didn't change this after we talked about it. We're going to have the breakout activity a little bit sooner on the session, because we know that we haven't done many in the past few weeks. And also the last one was too short. So this way we give a little bit more time for that activity, and Rachel is going to walk us through it in a bit. And that way we get everything that we have to offer. You can go on the next slide. I want to present you to Rachel McMahon. Some of you know her as one of our mentors, but she is an SEO strategist. She works for Anvil Media. And she is probably one of the most antique members of RAINmaker. She has been in this program since the very beginning and has been able to be a very important part of it. She's just very passionate about teaching these kind of things to small business owners and presenting very complex subjects in a way that is easy to understand and that you can actually apply, so that you can understand the functionality of things rather than just like all of these terms that become difficult. So we're very excited to have her here today again and talk about the different ways that you guys can reach and new customers and to apply the knowledge that you've been learning in the past few weeks. And with that, Rachel, welcome.
Awesome. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. I'm very excited to be returning. I love working with Oregon Rain. I'm very passionate about working with small businesses, in particular, local businesses. One of the things I love doing the most is giving you the tools to feel like you could be successful, giving you a foundation to build upon. So today we're going to really dial it back and talk about the concepts. And again, my goal is to not make you feel intimidated. My goal is to make you feel confident that you could take this on yourself and grow from it. So I'm going to share my screen. And as I'm sharing my screen, I know we are several weeks into the program. So into the chat, if you want to just one word answer how you're feeling at this point, or how you're feeling when you hear online advertising, what comes to mind, what feelings come to mind? Are you intimidated? Are you excited? So share what you are feeling in the chat as I share my screen, and we will get started. And if you're feeling nervous, you're feeling apprehensive, that's exactly how I felt when I first started working in digital marketing. So no worries there. Our goal is to make you feel less nervous, less apprehensive, and more confident. So I will jump into the presentation. So just to start things off, this slide is for reference. So once we start getting into the later slides, you might hear me throw some of these words out. And so this is more to just give you an understanding of what I am talking about when I say a conversion or when I say return on investment. So this is more of a reference slide to give you some just core definitions of important things that pertain to online advertising. So impressions is just when somebody sees your ad, somebody sees your website on Google. So whenever your particular piece of content is shown to the world. Click is pretty self-explanatory, but that is when somebody is actually going to engage with your content, whether it's on Google. So somebody clicks on your result and navigates through to your site, clicks on your ad and navigates through to wherever you take them. So impressions is the actual viewing of the piece of content. Click is the engagement component. Click-through rate, it's just how often people are clicking when they come across your ad. So if more people see your ad, then click on it. The goal is to obviously get people to engage with your content. So it's a good way to gauge how your content is driving engagement from people. Probably the most important definition that we're going to touch on today is what we call conversions. You might have heard this as goal completions. They're somewhat used interchangeably. But basically, this is the desired action you are hoping your users take when they come to your website. So typically what a conversion would look like is a form fill, a product purchase, a phone call. So whatever you're hoping the user will do when they come to your site is what we call a conversion. And then we just have two last definitions, which are more pertaining to the financial side of things and seeing how much payoff you're getting from your online advertising. So return on ad spend is just in terms of how much you've actually dedicated to your online advertising, how much revenue you are earning from your advertising. So obviously the goal of advertising is to grow that number, is to earn more revenue. So we want to make sure that we are accomplishing that. And then the other really important one that we'll touch on a little bit later in the presentation is just return on investment, or ROI. You've probably heard this a few times if you've worked in the advertising side of things before, but basically this is really what we use to gauge the overall effectiveness of our advertising. And it is a formula that calculates essentially how much profit you've earned from your advertising. So again, the goal is to increase the profit from any online advertising that you do. And so again, those are just some great ways to gauge the overall success or effectiveness of your advertising campaign. So just a quick introduction to some of the terms that you'll be hearing me say throughout this presentation. And again, one thing to touch on too, if you don't remember what all of these words mean, do not worry. Some of my coworkers still Google what some of these definitions are. So you don't have to completely learn all of these definitions. Again, this is just to give you an intro into what I will be talking about. So the buying cycle. So this is very important when it comes to online advertising. And what the buying cycle represents is essentially a process that every single person goes through when you are making a decision, whether it's hiring a service or making a purchase or engaging with a website in some way, shape, or form. So there's three main stages of the buying cycle that are important to understand, because this will really help you understand how you can better connect with your audience and how you can actually more effectively communicate with your audience as well. So at the very beginning, we have the awareness stage, which is just somebody becomes aware that they have a need, a pain, or a problem. And then we also then move into the consideration phase, which is where this person is doing the research, seeing what options are available to them and trying to narrow down the options depending on what they are particularly looking for. And then at the very end is the decision. So person knows what they want to purchase. They're actually going to go through and make that purchase, they're going to hire that service or complete whatever that desired action is. So again, this is just a really good process to understand, because this is how we will know who we're reaching, how we can reach them, and how we can adjust our messaging in order to better connect with them as well. So then kind of taking that a step further to really help you understand how this applies to our online advertising. So what we are doing with online advertising, what's really going to help us be successful, is essentially transforming that traditional shopping behavior. And when I say shopping, doesn't necessarily pertain to just e-commerce companies or brands. It could be anything. So any decision that you have to make. So if you think about it, if you take a step back and you kind of take the internet, the digital world out of the equation, how would you go about making a decision or making a purchase or hiring a service? So to kind of take that back to the buying cycle, I'll walk you through just an example I have here. So at the very beginning, there's the awareness stage. So again, for the sake of example, I have here, I need shampoo. I'm out of shampoo and I need shampoo. So I am going to go to the store. So if I'm taking the internet out of the equation. If I were to go to the store to buy shampoo, would you just walk into the store and start looking at every single product that the store has available within the store? Probably not. I mean, if I go to Target, maybe, but in this case, I would probably head to the shampoo aisle. I would probably go to the aisle where those products that I know I need are displayed. And then I'll take the consideration a step further. So what brands are available? There's the shampoo that works best for curly hair. There's shampoo that works best for blonde hair. So I'm considering the options that are presented to me at the actual physical store in the aisle that houses the similar products. So once I've looked at the cost, I've looked at, again, what shampoo is going to work best for me, I'm going to go to the front of the store. I'm going to make that purchase. And then I'll obviously reflect on that experience as well. So if you've ever returned to a store or not returned to the store, it was probably based on things like how easy it was to find, how expensive or how affordable that particular product was, the selection that was available to you. So if those things worked well for me, I'll probably return. The next time I need shampoo, I'll come back. But if the products were hard to find, if it took a lot of time, probably won't go back to that store. So again, really dialing it back and understanding how, if you weren't on the internet, how would you go about making this decision? And then you can set yourself up for success by just transforming that and supporting online users with this traditional shopping behavior. So the first place that we really start with in terms of your online advertising campaigns is what we refer to as landing pages. So you've probably heard this term get discussed outside of the Oregon RAIN program, but I know we have touched on it in previous participant presentations. But basically, when we talk about a landing page, this is just a web page that's really created and designed to convert those users who land on this page from any sort of marketing campaign. So when we say convert users, that is referring to that word conversion that I previously introduced. So we are taking a user who comes to the site and we're getting that user to complete that desired action, whatever that desired action is when they come to this page. And so the really cool thing about landing pages is that they can always change. You can always update. You can always fine tune things. And B, you can do these in 100 different ways. Just because you see one sort of landing page does not mean you have to follow the exact same format. You can really customize it depending on, again, who your users are, how you're trying to connect with them, and what you are hoping that they do when they come to your website. And so to start, here is just a quick screenshot of a pretty typical landing page that you'll see in the online advertising world. So in the chat, if you want to give me a couple of details that you see that you feel would be very successful in getting users to convert. So what do you see on the landing page that sticks out or makes you think, oh, this will get people to click or engage or things like that. So free, exactly, at free. Free is always a good word. The clear call to action, awesome. Kickstart, really getting those users to begin engaging. Minimal text, awesome. Easy to find buttons, perfect. So everyone pretty much nailed it on the head. When it comes to a landing page, you want it to be clean, organized. You don't want it to take up a ton of space. You don't want to have a ton of text that users have to read through. These days, users, when they are particularly online users, we want to do as little work as possible. So if there are lengthy paragraphs, probably not going to stay on the page and read it. If the buttons are hard to find, I'm not going to do extra work in order to find them. So awesome. You guys already know the basic components of a landing page. So we are in a good spot. So to kind of recap that.
Rachel?
Oh, yep.
So somebody posted a question. It's a landing page, not the same as the home page?
Correct. Well, so basically, to kind of to somewhat answer that question. So the home page is really just the main page of your website that gives users that overview of what your website is about, your brand, things like that. Your web page could technically be a landing page if you want to send users to the home page from a campaign or from social media, things like that. So it could technically act as a landing page. So basically a landing page, we're just referring to pretty much any page on your website where you're sending users. So it could be the home page, but we'll talk about specifics in just a second of how you can determine where you want to send your users in terms of, what page you want to send them to, things like that. Good question. Perfect. So to kind of recap what we just touched on, the successful landing pages. So again, it made the buttons were immediately visible. There was get started, it's free. Free is always a good word for people. There were some really quick points of features, benefits. So get everything about a lead in one place, get started for free. Calls to action were everywhere. I can see about 1, 2, 3, 4 different areas that I can engage with when I come to this landing page. And another thing that is interesting about landing pages, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's no really main menu at the very top. This particular landing page is very dialed back. So it's not giving users too much information to work with. We are really focusing the user's attention on clicking that button. So awesome job with understanding these landing pages. And again, another important thing to consider is the user experience. So if a user comes to the landing page on their computer, on their desktop, or if they come to the landing page on their phone, we want to make sure that the landing page presents the best user experience possible. So we want to make it still easy to use, particularly on mobile. We want to make sure the buttons are easy to find. So just keeping all of those things in consideration when you are talking about landing pages or building landing pages. Just again, keep your users in mind, make sure those calls to action are visible, they're accessible. And again, the promotions, the benefits, clearly explain those as well. So when you're trying,
Rachel, do all of the call to action buttons send the user to the same place?
So that would depend. So if, let's say at the very top, if you have a form that users can submit and the call to action is just submit your information above or something like that, probably wouldn't take users elsewhere. The user would probably just fill out the form and then that's it. But let's say on the landing page below the form, you have get your questions answered. So that could take a user elsewhere, probably like a customer service page, resources page, things like that. So you could have 2 calls to action that take users to different places. Again, it would just all depend on what information that particular user needs. So what stage of the buying cycle are they in? And what that ultimate goal is. So if your goal is to get users to stay on this page and fill the form out, you probably wouldn't want to send them elsewhere on the site. But if you want them to maybe go to your customer service page or resources page and then contact you for questions, then that could be a possible way to do so. So yeah, it definitely depends. Perfect. So then The other really important thing to consider then is where or what page of your website you should send users to. What page should function as your landing page? So again, this doesn't have to be anything too intense, too technical. Basically, put yourself in your user's shoes. So if you were the user, where would you want to be taken on your website? And so the way that I like to further explain this is through some examples. So the first example that I have is, let's say that you are looking for a vegetarian cookbook. You are interested in finding a cookbook that contains vegetarian recipes. Would you rather be taken to a page that is listing every single product, every single book available to you? Or would you rather be taken to a landing page that specifically has vegetarian cookbooks presented to you? Probably you would want to be taken to that vegetarian cookbook section, because that is really what you are looking for. You don't want to have to do the extra work to find what you need. So we want to make it as easy as possible, as efficient as possible for users to find what they need. Another example, this was actually a client of ours. They came to Anvil Media because they were running paid advertising campaigns, but they weren't seeing any sort of benefit from them. They weren't seeing any increase in revenue, any increase in profits, things like that. So we took a look, and the particular promotion that they were running was buy one, get one free, which, I mean, that would make anybody pretty excited. So we were wondering, that's a pretty strong promotion to run. What's going on? Well, the issue was when you clicked on the ad to land to the website, they just took you directly to the homepage. There was no mention about the promotion, didn't really specify what products were qualified for that particular promotion. So people were often left wondering, where do I go? What products can I purchase for buy one, get one free? So a lot of people were just confused, didn't know what to do, and then immediately just left the website and didn't actually make a purchase. So thinking about that, we built a dedicated landing page similar to what you see with this HubSpot landing page, where we said, buy one, get one free. What are the benefits? Here's the call to action, purchase these products here, made it very easy for users, and lo and behold, revenue started to increase. So really, again, put yourself in the user's shoes. Sometimes you can even walk through your website as if you were the user, seeing how easy it is to make a purchase. So again, really think about your users. Where would your user best fit on your website? Where should we send those users when they click on a campaign? What landing page would make the most sense? And so then, kind of taking the landing page concept a step further, we kind of touched on how important the calls to action are. So again, kind of tying this into the buying cycle. When we say call to action, that is essentially just the message that appears on a button beneath a form, a message that appears on your website, or even elsewhere on your app. If you have an Etsy page, the call to action is essentially just telling the user what to do. It's giving that user a specified action. So these are probably one of the most important components to your advertising campaigns, because this will give the user that sense of direction, and it will get them to the point of that completing that conversion. And so it's really going to determine the success of your calls to action are their messaging, how accessible they are, and if they function properly. So if a user clicks on the call to action button and nothing happens, then there's an obstacle there for them to complete that action. So tying this into the buying cycle again, so if we are at the awareness phase, I just became aware that I need a problem. Would I want to be presented with a buy this now call to action? Probably not. Think if you've ever gone to buy a car, the car salesman immediately comes up to you after you've just stepped foot on the lot, and they are bombarding you with prices and different models, things like that, and it's a little overwhelming. Same concept here, where the user who's in the awareness phase is looking for information. So we want to encourage them through the buying cycle by answering their questions, giving them options, moving them into that consideration phase. And so once they move into the consideration phase, they are looking to narrow down their options and understand which is going to be the best choice for them depending on what they need. So giving them more information, view our pricing options, get more information on our different packages, things like that. And then obviously the goal from the consideration phase is to get them to proceed, and give the user enough information in order to make a decision. So once they get to that decision phase, we don't need to do any extra work. This user is looking to immediately make a purchase, convert, hire somebody. They're not looking to read through extensive text. They don't need any more information. So purchase here, buy now, request a quote, things like that. So really just immediate action focused calls to action here are going to really make it easy for users to convert. And then once the user does convert within this decision phase, the goal then is to obviously get them to go back in to the buying cycle. So the next time the user needs something, we want to be the person or the brand or the company that they engage with. So in order to re-engage these users, we could use something like email marketing that we talked about last week or something like that. So it's just the, again, thinking about what phase your users are in, understanding what their needs are at that very moment, and then how we can support those. And again, just focusing on that will really help you craft these calls to action in order to best connect with them and get them to actually engage with whatever you are presenting to the user. Any questions I can answer? I'm kind of scrolling. It looks like we're pretty good so far. Perfect. Awesome. So then I have an example here that kind of breaks down calls to action based on what stage of the buying cycle a user is in. So this is a tool that we use in the SEO world. It's just an online tool that we can use on the SEO side of things that helps us analyze websites, things like that. So if I were to step back and start from the very beginning, from the SEO side, I'm aware that I need a tool to help me better process websites. So I'm not looking to buy anything. I'm not looking to make a decision. I'm looking to see what is available out there. So looking at the Moz call to action, they just have a simple try Moz for free. Try it out. There's no obligation. There's no commitment. So I can try this tool out to see what types of functionality do I get with this tool? Does this tool provide what I need? And then even the consideration phase. So I can enter a domain there, any domain that I want. I don't have to pay for it. I can, again, further test the tool out to see what this tool does for me. I have those pieces of information that set 40.7 trillion, 500 million. I can see clear selling points, clear benefits, clear features of why I should consider this particular tool for the work that I do. And so I can analyze the domain there, see what the tool does, consider the other options. Does this tool provide what I need versus this other tool? What's the cost? Will I use it often? How powerful is it? And then once I've determined Moz is probably the best tool for me and my needs, I can sign up now. So I've made a decision. I don't have to do any scrolling. I don't have to do any reading. There's an immediate call to action there. I can sign up now and I am good to go. So this is a step-by-step example of how those call to action messages will vary depending on what stage of the buying cycle we are communicating to. So flow chart that explain the flow information from landing page to a website to a web page, then the email capture. So that will kind of play into the breakout activity. So hold that thought in terms of differentiating your messages between landing pages, web pages, emails, things like that. So hold that thought. What types of calls to action are available for businesses that don't have the ability to give something away for free? So we don't always want to give things away for free. You don't even have to do any sort of percentage off, but maybe you can highlight the particular benefit that really stands out. So you can really showcase that to users and say, learn more about this feature or get support for your needs, things like that. So it's just really crafting that message based upon what the ultimate goal is for your users when they come to your site. So if you want them to fill out a form, highlighting the form, making the form very easy to access, and then just saying something like, submit your information for, and then tell the user what they're going to get if they do submit something. So they're going to get more information. They're going to get a quote. They're going to get maybe a resource emailed to them, something where they just know what's going to happen when they submit their email. So if you've ever been to a website where there's been a form and you're kind of like, why should I fill this form out? What is this going to do for me? Taking that guessing out of it will then make your calls to action and your conversion points even more successful. So you don't necessarily have to, give things away for free. You just have to really make it specific to what you can offer to people, what their payoff is going to be if they engage with your website. So perfect. Cool. So now we will jump into the breakout activity. I know we're a little bit ahead of schedule, which is great. I wanted to make sure we had enough time to really walk through this a little bit more in-depthly. And so for this breakout activity, there is going to be a worksheet where it provides you essentially a wireframe of what a typical landing page consists of. And so really what we're looking to do is to fill the worksheet out according to what would be an ideal landing page for your needs, for your website, things like that. So for this particular example, I kind of used the HubSpot landing page to fill this worksheet out. And so I just used the components of the landing page to incorporate the headline, what the supporting text is, things like that. And so for the breakout activity, we're not looking for you to completely fill the form out. We're not looking for you to create the perfect landing page. Really what this form is meant to do is to dial back the landing page itself, understand what key components you need to incorporate into a landing page, and then understand how you can then take all of these elements and then just apply it to a landing page. So another thing that we were touching on as well is kind of going back to not needing to be perfect. You can create multiple landing pages. So instead of doing the worksheet once, you can use this worksheet 5 separate times, create 5 different landing pages, and then combine what you feel would be the best of each attempt at creating a landing page. So don't focus on being perfect. Don't focus on creating the absolute best landing page in the entire world. Really focus on what you are looking for your users to do when they come to this particular landing page. So if if you want users to make a purchase, do you need a form at the very top of the landing page? Probably not. If a user is looking to purchase, they're looking to give you their payment information and complete the transaction. If you're looking for users to subscribe to something, you probably do need a form. If you do need a form, what pieces of information do you need from that user? Probably just their email address. So the form would contain their email address, and then a call to action would be submit your email to subscribe to our newsletter. And so just using this to give you the key elements of a landing page and customizing it to what you need. So then that way you can just easily use this worksheet to guide your actual building of a landing page. And so the goal, I guess, for the breakout session would be to mostly focus on the call to action or the conversion points, what you need on the landing page itself in order for users to complete that desired action, what the call to action would look like, depending on what the user's needs are, and then any benefits as well. So we don't necessarily need to worry about like the headline and supporting text at this time. That could be something that you work on and fine tune as you get a general sense of what your landing page will look like and contain. So we can focus mostly again on the conversion points, the call to action, and listing out benefits as well. Oh, and another thing I should mention too, that a nice thing about this particular exercise, and one of the reasons I focused on this, was because it can apply elsewhere too. So it doesn't necessarily have to just stay with your landing page. If you can figure out what you need your users to do and what call to action messaging you need to utilize in order to connect with them, that call to action can be utilized on social media. You can use it within your email marketing campaign. So what you do here can also be applied to what we've done in other presentations or other digital marketing initiatives as well.
All right, thank you, Rachel. So everybody, don't feel the pressure to fill all of this out. just focus on the call to action and on the objective, because the objective will give you your call to action. And what we're going to do is go into breakouts. Nate, are you here? I get lost.
Yep, I'm here, Ani. Yep, I'm here.
Awesome. So if you can please pop up the breakout rooms. You guys can choose your breakout room. We don't lose all the great information we have here today. So I'm glad you guys got some more time to do this breakout activity. I hope that you learn from each other, because it's always that way, right? Like we see something similar, maybe you're a little bit more quiet, but somebody else's example can help you as well, and you're there internalizing all of this, quietly applying it to your own business. And I mean that is a great thing. So welcome back. And Rachel,
I will jump back into it. So I'm very glad to hear that it really was very helpful. That was the main goal of the breakout activity. So now we'll talk about how you can actually figure out if your landing page, your call to action, if those are actually working for you. And so we use something called A/B testing. And so basically what that means is we are going to compare two versions of something. It could be two versions of your landing page. It could be two versions of the same page, but different buttons. It could be two versions of your app. So we are essentially just testing one version against the other to see which is going to accomplish the goal that we are looking for. So which version is going to earn more clicks, which version is going to earn more conversions, things like that. So this will give us a very definitive understanding of how we can craft our calls to action, how we can construct our landing pages, things like that. So A/B testing is incredibly important because we are going to then be making informed decisions. So we're not looking at our website and just going, I think that button might work better if it was blue. We can't say for sure if that is the case, but through A/B testing, we can actually determine if the color of the button is going to help. We can determine if the call to action is going to make a difference. So A/B testing is going to give us informed decisions, the ability to make informed decisions based on the data that we acquire through A/B testing. And so oh yeah, sure.
Looks like Nate has a question.
Oh, sure.
Well, actually, I just wanted to say that also, I think what's really great about this is that so many entrepreneurs that I talk to, we're not quite sure. So A/B testing can allow us to move forward, right? If we're not sure, we can try two things, and that way we don't have to have all the answers before we move forward with trying a couple different hypotheses that we have.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of something we touched on in our breakout session, is not letting the need to be perfect or to know all of the answers get in the way of you actually pursuing something. So yeah, A/B testing gives you the ability to just start somewhere or to get information that you need to just improve upon it. So again, yeah, just some examples of where you can use A/B testing. You can test two different landing pages. So using that worksheet, you can create one version of your landing page, and then you can use the worksheet to create a second version. You can test to see which allows users to, or which will help users fill more forms out, which landing page will help users purchase more products, things like that. You can test your calls to action, which messaging is really connecting with our users. Should we use request a quote, or should we use get your questions answered? So we can determine which of those is driving more engagement from our users. You could even see where the best location of your call to action or the button would be, what color we should update the button to be, things like that. So even very just small details can make all of the difference. So even I have the example here with the Anvil site, we just did some very easy, very simple testing to see if we can make the contact button stand out a little more, because we are really hoping that users will fill the contact form out. So that way we not only have their information, but then we can get in touch with them to pursue whatever their needs are. So we just did two different tests to see the current state of the website. So the website as is versus just a small change, adding that gray color to the contact button. And that small A/B test, what we found was that the gray helped the contact button to stand out more. So users were actually clicking on it more than what the previous website looked like, or web page looked like. So it really helped us get a solid understanding of how we should style that particular call to action. So that's a very simple way of using A/B testing. But yeah, you can use it for a wide variety of things, a wide number of things. So it's very helpful, again, to give you the information that you need to either just get started or to make those informed decisions. And so in order to A/B test, or how you A/B test, there are a wide variety of methods, tools. Everybody's going to have their own preference. But really what I've found, particularly for small businesses or even those who have never done A/B testing before, these two methods are what I've found to be the most helpful or the most effective. So the method number one on the left side is just simply live testing things. So this is really helpful if you're not looking to subscribe to a platform, add any code snippets to your site. This is probably the method for you. It doesn't take too much in order to complete the A/B testing, but basically you kind of do what we did with the Anvil site, where you run the website as is and you collect data for a set period of time. I like to say at least 1 month, just because the more information that you have in terms of A/B testing, the more helpful it is to get just a better understanding of what's going on. So run the website as is, the landing page as is, collect the data, see what users are clicking on, see if users are converting, things like that. Then make your update, test out what you are hoping to get. So if you're looking to see what color button would work better, change the button color, change the messaging, depending, again, what you're looking to gain out of A/B testing, and then run the website for that same period of time, 1 month, and just see how the user engagement changes. Are users clicking on the button? Are users filling the form out? Did that change really help anything? So that's one way that you can do A/B testing. So just using your actual website and just live testing it. The second method, which is a little bit more involved, just because it involves other platforms, but it's also very simple to use, is heat map testing. And so I have an example on the next slide of what it looks like. But basically,
Rachel,
yeah.
before you continue on that, can you explain what a heat map is?
Sure, I will just go right here. So this is what a heat map looks like. So again, this usually takes another platform for you to do. But again, it's very easy to create a heat map and install it on your site. If you're on WordPress, Squarespace, Shopify, any of those, typically there's like a very easy configuration where you just copy and paste like the account ID or something like that. So it's very easy to set up. But basically what you do is you can run the heat map test and it will map out where users are really clicking on the most. And so obviously, because it's heat map, wherever you see red, that's where users are really clicking, or really where their attention is mostly focused. And anything that doesn't have red or yellow means that users are ignoring it or aren't clicking there. And so when I say heat map testing for A/B testing purposes, this is where you can test those two variations of landing pages. You can see how the design of a landing page might change where users are clicking. You can see the file with TurboTax or learn more about QuickBooks. You can see which button users are gravitating towards. Maybe instead, it doesn't seem like too many people are interested in QuickBooks. So maybe you take that button away and have users mostly focus on file with TurboTax, since that's where we're seeing a little bit of engagement. So heat map testing is essentially just a visualization of where user engagement is occurring. And let me go back 1 second, because there's 3 platforms that I really like to suggest or recommend. The first 2 are pretty similar. Obviously, their interfaces are a little bit different, but for the most part, they offer the same functionalities. Hotjar and Crazy Egg are 2 heat map testing platforms that are really helpful. They offer both free and paid subscriptions. Paid subscriptions just gives you more pages to test. I think with the free Hotjar, you can test like up to 5 URLs or something like that. So if you have a smaller site, or if you're just interested in testing like 1 single page, you can definitely check out Hotjar or Crazy Egg. They're complete. Yeah, they offer incredible information. But then I also recommend Microsoft Clarity. This one is a little bit different. I do like to recommend it though, because it is entirely free. You don't have to pay to test your entire website. It's a completely free platform. The only thing that's tricky about Microsoft Clarity is the interface can be a little bit challenging if you are not used to working with URLs and things like that. It's not crazy complicated. I've just found, especially for beginners, I would gravitate more towards Hotjar or Crazy Egg, but I like to give you your options. But basically, yeah, you just create an account. You tell the platforms what pages you want to test, and then they will give you instructions on how to install the heat map. And again, it sounds intimidating, but it usually is pretty simple, depending on what platform you use. And then, yeah, as we just saw, what will happen once you install the heat map platform, whichever one you're using, you'll start to acquire this information. So I love heat map testing. I could spend way too much time looking at heat maps just because it's incredibly interesting to me to see how engagement changes depending on what changes we make to our landing pages. So this is a really good tool to have in your arsenal if you are looking for not just A/B testing purposes, but even just general user experience and user engagement understanding purposes.
Rachel,
Yeah.
how many hits should your page be getting in order for this to provide meaningful information?
That's an excellent question. So with heat map testing, the more information you can get, the better. So that's why I like to say at least let it run for a month, let it acquire data for a month, just because that will give you much more information. So if you only run it for like 2 weeks, you will see this data, but it might not be as extensive as what you see in this screenshot. You might see a little bit more lighter colors. So it might be hard to exactly determine where user engagement is occurring. So that's why I like to give the benchmark of at least like 1 month. So not necessarily the quantity of people coming to your site, but just, yeah, the time frame to acquire that data. So yeah, I would say like 1 month at least.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Perfect. So then to kind of tie all of these things together, I was just going to wrap up with some quick slides on taking this and then actually advertising online. And so in the past, I've done this where I've gone through each and every type of ad, each and every type of platform. But for just, again, I wanted to keep it very simple. I didn't want to overwhelm you with too much information. So I formulated this in a way where I have different advertising options depending on, I work through three very common objectives that I typically see when I'm helping clients. And so when we are talking about just online advertising in general, there are a wide variety of objectives that come with the campaigns, but typically what we see are those highlighted in blue is what we see as most common advertising objectives. So basically the bottom two are the most common that we see. So lead generation, hoping to gather some sort of information from a user, filling out a form, subscribing to a newsletter, or product purchases. So getting users to make a purchase, getting them to download your tool platform, getting them to hire you. So these are various objectives that we commonly see in the advertising world. And as you can imagine, these will determine how you craft your call to action. They will also determine what the conversion of this particular objective would be. So if it's a product purchase, the conversion is then going to be an actual website purchase. If it's a lead generation objective, the conversion will probably be a form fill. So that's kind of how all of that ties together. And so while I prepare to go to the next slide, if you could put in the chat, what's the ultimate goal of your website? What's the ultimate goal of your business or your app? What are you really hoping that users do when they come to your website? So what are you really hoping to do? What are you hoping to accomplish? So engagement, buy something, awesome. Do you want users to fill out a form? Do you want them to book an appointment? Do you want them to hire you? Buy your jewelry, awesome. Newsletter, perfect. Buy software, excellent. Hire me, awesome. So yeah, we all have an understanding of what that objective is. And so probably the most important question is, how much should you actually spend on online advertising? And so what I really give people as a starting point is this ROI formula. And so It's just a way to quickly calculate what your return would be if you dedicate a certain amount of budget towards your advertising campaign. So obviously the goal is to increase your ROI percentage, so the amount of return you get from dollars spent on an advertising campaign. But typically when I've done these talks, everybody is asking, how much should I spend? What should my budget be? And it's a really hard question to directly answer because industry is going to be different, business size is going to be different, your target audience is going to determine what your budget should be. So it's really hard to give a solid answer. I can say that social is a good one to dedicate maybe a couple $100s to at the beginning. But then if you're interested in like Google AdWords, that might take a little bit more budget, about, $2,000 or more. So that's somewhat of a starting point, but that's where I really like to give this formula. So that way you can use it to give yourselves an idea of how much return you can expect to get if you dedicate a specific budget amount towards that particular campaign. And so now that we've understood what our objectives are, how much we could, potentially spend on an advertising campaign, there are 3 goals that I have some samples for in terms of actual online ads that you can create and utilize. So for collecting contact information, we usually refer to this as lead generation. So again, we're looking for users to submit their information, and we are going to use the information for our email newsletter, for our own targeting purposes. So if we are looking to collect contact information, what types of calls to action would work best for this objective? If we're trying to get users to submit their email address, what message should we present to them if we're trying to get them to do so? And probably something like, fill the form out to subscribe to our newsletter, or submit your email address above, something like that, giving users a clear sense of direction. So on the left, we have Facebook ads. These are typically very, very affordable, depending again on what your budgets look like. There are both photo and video ads where you can showcase your brand. And if you are looking for a very quick and simple ad to run, photo and video ads on Facebook are probably your best bet. You can also do things like carousel ads where you can tell a story with multiple photos. Users can scroll through to get an understanding of why they would want to navigate through to your site and fill out the form, things like that. So that's Facebook. Kind of tied into Facebook is Instagram. Again, these are very affordable, but obviously with Instagram, you're really focused on talking with mobile users, connecting with mobile users. Again, similar to Facebook, you have image and video ads where you can present users with a solid story, or you can engage with them. And then there's also story ads. So that's the screenshot that you see in the green box. Story ads work really well because they are immersive. You can't really tell that it's an ad, but it is. So it's a great way to present users with an ad without it coming across as very salesy. And you can just essentially use it to convey your brand image. Pinterest, I actually really like to recommend Pinterest because it's one of the few social media platforms where users come to it without a determined brand that they're looking for. They aren't looking to engage with a particular company or website. Pinterest is really where you're going to get users who are looking just for more information, not pertaining to a particular company. So you can really connect with new users here. And there are just standard pin ads where you can connect with your audience. Again, they're not looking for a specific brand. So it's a really great way to capture new users. And then there are carousel ads. So again, you're giving users a story through multiple photos. You can explain something, so you can give them information on why they should fill out your form. Again, Pinterest ads are pretty cost effective too. And then on the right-hand side, we have LinkedIn ads. These are pretty affordable. They can get a little bit more expensive depending on what your objectives are. But with LinkedIn ads, you can get very precise with your targeting. So if you are targeting specific job descriptions, specific industries, LinkedIn ads allow you to do so. Think about LinkedIn though, in terms of your presentation to users or connection with those users. People on LinkedIn are the least interested in engaging with sales. They're there for career purposes. So you want to be very tactful when you are presenting your call to action, your selling points, things like that. So, but LinkedIn is excellent, again, for that very specific targeting. So that is goal number one.
We have
again,
somebody that raised their hands. Can they ask
oh,
the
sure,
question?
absolutely, yeah.
All right, go ahead. Where did it go? I wonder if it was a mistake. All right, we can keep
maybe.
going. We can keep going. I do have questions here that I've been writing down.
Perfect. Yeah, I just have 2 more slides, so I'm almost done, and then we can wrap up with questions. And
That's
before I proceed, obviously there are a wide number of ways you can advertise. These are just some examples that I've had in the past that have worked well. So you don't have to use Pinterest. You don't have to use Facebook. You obviously want to use what works best for you. And the goal is not for you to start advertising on all of these platforms. Again, it's just to give you a starting point of something to work on. So goal number 2, I want users to hire me. Again, it's not, online advertising is not only meant for products. If you are service-based, there's absolutely opportunity for you to advertise online. So if you want users to hire you, what kind of calls to action do you think would best support this objective? Obviously, it wouldn't be, buy now or learn more. Maybe get a quote would be a good call to action. So again, we have Facebook ads. Again, I like to recommend Facebook because they are very quick and simple. There's not too much that goes into setting up photo or video ads. But with a carousel ad, you can demonstrate your service. So I've seen several different service-based businesses give each carousel image a different step in what they provide, in the service they provide, or a before and after, something like that. YouTube is excellent for service-based businesses. This is a little more spendy, but again, if you have video content, if you're a service-based business where you've taken video of you providing that service, or again, doing like a before and after, when I think of the YouTube ad side of things, I think of the pressure washer service-based businesses where they show you the actual driveway getting cleaned, things like that. So those have actually gone viral on YouTube before, but you have skippable ads. So that's where you have about 5 seconds or less to capture the attention of users. But you also have non-skippable ads as well. And these act as if you are running a TV commercial. You are connecting with your users through video. And then LinkedIn, again, is great for if you want users to hire you. For Anvil, we are a digital marketing agency. We work with business owners. So LinkedIn is where a lot of our audience is active. So we like to target users on LinkedIn. Again, if you're really thinking about connecting with particular job titles, industries, if you're wanting to prove your leadership within a particular industry to get users to hire you, LinkedIn would be excellent. So yeah, you have your text ads where again, the targeting is exceptional, but you can also do sponsored content where you can further explain why someone should hire you. So yeah, I do see in the chat things of Google ads. The reason I don't touch on Google ads too much here is because, like Daniel said, they are pretty expensive. You can dedicate, $200 to a Google ads campaign, but typically I've only seen a solid return on investment if you spend about like $2,000 or more. I have seen it happen where if you only dedicate a few $100s, you can be successful, but typically Google ads is a little bit more expensive. So that's why I haven't touched on it here. And then the last goal is I want to purchase something. So online advertising is excellent for highlighting products. They work best on both Google and social, but again, social is more budget friendly. Google ads is excellent. Google has their own, shopping campaigns. There are display campaigns and things like that. But again, it's just a little bit more expensive compared to what you can get on social. So that's why we're focused here. But during the mentor hours, if you do want to talk about Google ads, we can absolutely do so. So we can touch on that during the mentor hours. But again, with products, you can highlight your actual products on Facebook with a photo or video. You can showcase a collection. You can utilize the carousel again to show off multiple products or tell a story. Instagram is exceptional. CTA is call to action, by the way. I saw that come up in the chat. So that's that messaging that we are using to get the user to do something. But so Instagram ads, I've seen these work very well for shopping campaigns. I've actually They worked on me. I've purchased a few things from Instagram ads. But again, these are for mobile users. You can showcase through an image or video, showcase product features with a video. There's the carousel ads where you show either the same product but different features, or you can showcase your collection. And then collection ads are just that, where users can actually view the product. It's the shoe image that you see here. Users can actually directly buy from this ad as well, so it makes it very easy for people to purchase. Then we have Pinterest and TikTok. So Pinterest, again, this is awesome because users come to Pinterest not wanting to dedicate themselves to a specific brand, so they're very open to everything that Pinterest has to offer. And you can showcase a single product, you can showcase a collection. And then TikTok, I know TikTok is a little bit tricky. It is more expensive, but I do like to recommend it because I've seen TikTok work very, very well. I personally know several businesses that have sold out of products that it's actually gotten almost too much from TikTok ads. So it does work incredibly well if that's your particular market, or if you have a product that would work well on TikTok. So just something for you to consider. At least, you can check it out and see if it would work well for you. So those are kind of the three main goals that I've found are always what we work with in online advertising. Again, these samples aren't just, the only options that you have. There are dozens, there's endless options to advertise online. But again, my goal was to give you a starting point. So that's all I got. So any questions?
Wonderful. Thank you, Rachel. I would like to share my screen here for a second to show you guys what's going to happen next week. And then we'll come back. I've been writing all of your questions on the chat, so we can do that. And then depending on time, we can either continue to answer these questions on your mentor hour. And yeah, so the first thing I just want to let you guys know is that Rachel's mentor hour is this Friday at 11 a.m. You should all have a calendar invite, but it's also on that mentor hour table that I've been posting on every single slide. So if you can't find it, it's over there. Next week, we have Darren teach about making sales while you sleep with sales funnels. And we're very excited about that one. He's been very passionate about sales funnels, and I think it's going to be very useful for you. And that's all I wanted to share. So now we can move on to the questions very quickly, huh? So if you ever think you cannot give a lot of information in 30 seconds or less, this is your proof that it is possible to do it. Okay, so let's go on a few questions here. So someone has social media across 6+ podcast platforms and 5 video platforms and emails. What tool can they use to track metrics across all of those platforms?
So actually that kind of is a good plug for the upcoming talk that I have, where I will go into some analytics functionalities and options, things like that. I always look at Google Analytics. That's a really solid one. But then obviously I think each social platform provides their own dashboard of how things are going. So you can use those. But yeah, I really like to work in Google Analytics just because that's where I've found the most value. So yeah, that's kind of where I would start.
Okay. Let's see, next one. Sorry, I have a lot of windows open. Are all the landing pages a part? Oh, I think that we already saw about this part. Oh no, actually we haven't. Are all the landing pages a part of your website that could individually be found if someone is exploring your site, or are they hidden so that it doesn't clog up your website?
Yeah, so you could do either. So if you want to use an existing web page as a landing page, you don't have to keep it hidden from users. I've seen that work for some websites just because the web page that already exists is actually built in a pretty successful way to support people who are coming there to convert. So you can use an existing web page that's accessible to users. That's totally fine. But if you want to go the route similar to the HubSpot landing page where you're trying to keep them on that dedicated page, yeah, you don't have to include like the URL within your main menu. You don't have to make it immediately accessible to users who come to your website. You can keep it somewhat hidden in the sense that it's not in your main menu. And then what you can do is when users land on the page, yeah, you can take the main menu away. So they're less likely to go to a different page or things like that. So you can do either. It just depends on how your existing web pages look and if you want to create a second dedicated landing page that's outside of what you already have.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. I have Darren here that's going to talk to you a little bit about something that's coming up.
Yeah, hey guys, what's happening? Just so y'all know, if you've heard of RAINcap, it is the unique crowdfunding platform for Oregon businesses. So if you're an Oregon business and you found yourself stuck in the capital gap, meaning you're trying to raise some money for your business, but banks won't loan to you, you can't get friends or family to loan, so you can't get venture catalysts or angel investors to invest in you. We have a crowdfunding platform that is basically there to help y'all raise money. You've heard of Kickstarter or GoFundMe before. Those are great for some businesses, but this is different. Where those basically you get money up front for a promised product saying, hey, if you give me this money, I'll develop this product. This is just a way to get money from investors as if they're investing in your business. And so it gives you money to go grow your business and then you basically pay them back as a return. So I've got a link I'm putting in the chat. We have a workshop coming up June 1st. It's actually when we have our week off, right? When we're not having RAINmaker, that's when we put this. So instead of coming to RAINmaker, because we're not having one because of Memorial Day weekend, we've decided to throw this workshop. So if you're curious about crowdfunding and raising money that way, this is the one for you. So click that link that I just put in the chat and you can register. You'll get an email and the Zoom link and all that stuff will be coming. It's in about 2 weeks. So it's not next week, but the week after that is when we're hosting this free webinar. And our capital access director, Rick Hood, who's got like 20 years experience helping small businesses grow and develop, and you know, he's a stud. He's hosting the class. So come to that and he'll answer all your guys' questions about crowdfunding for your business. Thanks.
Thank you, Darren. Yes, actually, I am. I will include that link on the email that I send you guys. That way you have that information there. I do know that we are on top of the hour, so if you guys need to take off, thank you so much for connecting today. We really appreciate it. Rachel, what do you feel about answering the rest of the questions on your mentor hours so that we can record it and not have Darren have such a heavy file to process after this class?
Yeah, I'm happy to answer questions during the mentor hour. So yeah, if you do have questions that you want me to touch on, you can just let us know so that way we cover them. But yeah, it was great talking with everybody. I'm glad it was helpful. Again, it's just meant to give you a starting point. So hopefully it was helpful in that sense as well. So thank you.